All right, let's try this again. So, just like the last time, we are recording this presentation. That way, we can post it for you to go back and review. People that may not be able to attend due to work schedules, but I want to let you know that up front. My name is Connor Singhuizen. I am the Assistant Director of Intramurals and Sport Clubs at the University of South Dakota. I also oversee esports here, and I umpire some college baseball. Today we have with us Jake Samp, who will be assisting, and then Mr. Larry Gallagher, who might be chiming in as well. Wealth of knowledge, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, rules and expectations. So, out of respect for everyone's time and learning experience, please leave your microphone on mute until you're ready to ask a question. Comments, additions, please place those in the chat so we can address those as necessary. My email is listed there at the bottom, so if you have any questions, anything beyond today that you want to reach out and ask for, feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. So for clinic info, the purpose of these clinics is to help make everybody better umpires. As I said before, I am not the end-all be-all of umpiring knowledge. I like to think I kind of know what I'm doing out there, but it makes me better by going through the rule book, looking up rules differences, mechanics, emphasis, philosophies on all these rules, and in turn, hopefully we get some discussion and make umpires better in the tri-state area. We host these weekly over the noon hour, noon Central Time. We'll probably host them weekly throughout at least until the start of the high school season here in South Dakota, and then maybe a weekly or bi-weekly once the season gets going to kind of talk about plays that have happened, talk about issues that have come up, and answer questions. As always, if there's a topic you really want to hear about, feel free to shoot Jake or I an email or drop something in the chat today, and we'll do the best we can to fit it into the schedule. So today we're going to talk about balks. A balk is an illegal act by a pitcher with a runner or runners on base, entitling runners to advance at least one base without liability to be put out. In NFHS, so anything using the high school rule set, it's a dead ball, and then we advance the runners. In NCAA, that definition is under 231, and in OBR, official baseball rules or Major League Baseball rules, depending on how you phrase that, it's on page 144. So what constitutes a balk, right? You hear it all the time. Pitchers, coaches, players, everybody thinks a balk is something completely different. And our goal here is to go through the major ones that we see on a daily basis, because the purpose of a balk is to not let the pitcher illegally deceive the runner. Now, the whole purpose of a pickoff move is to deceive the runner into thinking they're going to pitch home, catch them off guard, and get them out. But the intent of the rule is to illegally deceive the runner. So things that constitute a balk that we're going to see on a regular basis in games, and things that might confuse us a little bit. So while touching the pitcher's plate, the pitcher makes any motion naturally associated with his pitch and fails to make such delivery. So things like start, stop, front knee pops, we step towards home and don't deliver a throw to home. Things like that is what we're looking for there. The next one is the pitcher, while touching the pitcher's plate, feints a throw to first or third base and fails to complete the throw. So this is from the rubber. We step directly to first or third and do not throw. Now, in high school rules, NFHS, which most of us participate in the spring, the feint to third or fake throw to third from the plate is legal. You can do that in high school. And that's something where coaches, players get confused on, especially for those of us that work American Legion baseball in the summer or work different levels. They can play all spring knowing that's a legal play, and they get to the summer and now it's illegal. So remember, in high school, you can step, while engaged with the rubber, you can step directly to third and not throw. And NCAA and OBR, you're required to throw to third now. The pitcher, while touching his plate, fails to step directly towards a base before throwing to that base. This is often misreferred to as the 45-foot rule when it comes to pitchers. A lot of people think, oh, well, the pitcher didn't cross the 45 when stepping to first, so it's a balk. That's false. The pitcher has to gain more ground towards first. He has to step directly towards first base. A good way to look at this one, and we've got a couple of videos here to show you, but how I interpret this one, or how I judge this one, is did he step more towards first or more towards home? We can look at body, the direction their body goes to aid in this. Obviously, if they're falling downhill going towards the plate, they're probably not stepping directly to first, are they? But if their body goes towards first base, they're stepping that direction. That's how I judge it. Other umpires may have a little bit different philosophy on that. But if you follow that and you get those, most of the time you're not going to hear a whole lot from coaches. His entire body went towards the plate. That's where he stepped. Your body goes where your feet move. And then the pitcher, while touching their plate, feints, throws to an unoccupied base, except for the purpose of making a play. Where we occasionally see this is runner on first, runner stealing, pitcher does an inside move or a jump turn to second base and throws. This mistakenly gets called as a balk a lot when it happens because we think he's throwing to an unoccupied base, when in reality, the pitcher is throwing to an unoccupied base for the purpose of making a play on a runner. So if in your judgment, he's attempting to make a play on a runner, he can throw to an unoccupied base. Any questions so far? Cool. If the pitcher makes an illegal pitch, this is also a balk. Things like these are quick pitches that are illegal quick pitches. Feel free to look through Rule 6.2 in Major League. I believe it's 9.3 in NCAA. And NFHS, I believe, is 6.2 or 6.20 as well. The pitcher, without having the ball, stands on or astride the pitcher's plate, or while off the pitcher's plate, he feints a pitch. So if they don't have the ball, in NCAA and OBR, they cannot be on or astride the plate, the pitcher's plate. They are allowed to be in the dirt circle in those two rule sets, which is different from NFHS, where they are not allowed to be in the dirt circle without the ball. So the hidden ball trick, that's more so what this is referring to here. And the key that we as umpires often don't pick up on is if that ball is in play or not. 99% of the time when the hidden ball trick happens, the first baseman goes to the mound, calls time, goes to the mound. If we grant time, that ball is not in play. And you have to look back into what I think Jake talked about last week a little bit with appeal plays. What do we have to put the ball back in play? Pitcher with the ball, engaged with the rubber, batter in the batter's box ready to hit, and catcher in the catcher's box ready to catch. So until we fulfill all three of those requirements, we can't have a balk. So if we go call time, first baseman takes the ball from the pitcher, goes to first base, pitcher's on the rubber, or pitcher's on the mound in high school, and then the runner leads off and the first baseman tags him, we've got nothing. And we need to verbalize, that's nothing, that ball is not in play. That's the easiest way to handle that. So keep in mind that happens if we take the ball out of play, if we grant time, that has to come back in play prior to having a balk.
Can I step in here a second on that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Some umpires aren't going to be aware where that ball is when they point the ball in play, which means it's still not in play. So even if you get that play and you put it in play, you think it's not in play and you have to start it all over again, get the ball back to the pitcher. You got to get on the rubber, batter in the box, and all that other stuff.
Great point, Larry. You're not going to know if the pitcher has the ball sometimes until after you've put it in play. If they don't, like Larry said, call time, correct the balk that you awarded, and then make sure the ball gets back to the pitcher before you put it in play. Another instance of a balk, the pitcher, while touching the plate accidentally or intentionally, has the ball slip or fall out of his hand or glove. Remember, these are all with runners on. So keep that in mind. We have to have runners on base.
Guys, I got a question.
Yeah.
My name's Mike. I umpire a lot in Rapid, Legion level, Little League, youth level, and all that. So some of the things that we are doing is we're trying to implement a lot more 3-man just to get ready for that next level whenever possible. And so, but a lot of our games, especially at the Legion level, are 2-man. And so when we're looking at those balks, and that's why I kind of, wanted to get some feedback from you guys is, in 2-man, if you're in B or C, it's really hard to pick up that, even though, the plate umpire's looking, has his keys, base umpire has his keys. What's some feedback or comments from the group here about how do you pick up that, especially when you said, Connor, about the 45 degree, how are you guys picking that up? Are you splitting hairs? Give me some feedback here on what you guys do when you're working games in a 2-man.
That's a great question. And I think we have some mechanics slides coming up that should cover that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, definitely something to talk about because the box and 2-person are hard.
Yeah.
Some specific ones and some almost impossible. And then one of the more common ones we see is the pitcher delivers a pitch from the set position without coming to a stop or 2 stops. So we have a double set is what that's commonly referred to as well. So remember, they have to come to a stop. OBR says come to a stop. NFHS or NCAA says discernible stop. NFHS, I believe, says discernible stop, but I'll have to look that up just to make 100% sure. So if you look that up, it would be in Rule 6.2, which covers pitching infractions. So what's the penalty for a balk? The penalty for a balk is all runners must advance 1 base without liability to be put out. And there are some differences between NFHS and NCAA OBR on how we handle a situation. So as we know in NFHS, it's a dead ball, call time. That's a balk, and we'll go through the mechanics of how this works. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong window there. In NCAA and OBR, if we have a ball that is put in play because it's a live ball, so pitch, batted ball, the batter runner and all runners must advance at least 1 base. And we'll get into the specifics on that here in a couple seconds. So balk mechanics, how do we call a balk? How do we handle a situation when it happens? Who has what? And this is something we have to pregame. I think on the next slide, I'll go into a little bit more detail on that. But primarily, the plate umpire is going to have legs, feet, and shoulders. The base umpire primarily is going to have hands and shoulders. There are some differences between who has what on a right-handed pitcher versus a left-handed pitcher. But this is something that's very important to pregame. We should be getting to games early enough to talk about mechanics and not just saying, hey, yeah, I work by the book. No need to worry. No need to talk about anything. Because I've often found in my career umpiring, which is going on 16 years, not everybody works out of the same book. So if we don't pregame certain situations, we're going to run into issues where we miss stuff because we assume the other guy is covering something.
And Connor, you make a great point with, having to pregame this and working out of the same book. I mean, Connor and I both work games at the college level, and even on the games that we work together. I mean, we work at the college level. We're supposed to work out of the same book, but even at the, even before a game, I mean, we're still going to pregame and go over, balk responsibilities. Like that's, even at the college level, you don't just say, "Oh, I work out of the book." There's still a pregame that actually a meaningful pregame still occurs.
Ultimately, when it comes down to balks, if you see a balk, call a balk. We have our primary responsibilities, our coverages, but ultimately, don't miss a whale just because it's not in your responsibility to look at. If you see it, call it. And then when calling balks, we want to echo that. So if my partner calls a balk, I should come in, that's a balk. That way everybody knows and everybody hears it and we're all on the same page. It's a difficult habit to get into, but it's one that's worthy. Now, if you echo a balk call and the coach comes out to you and says, what did he do? Have an idea, hopefully, but ultimately, what the phrasing I use is, Coach, I was echoing his balk call. He will give you specifics. I was echoing Jake's balk call. Go to him. He'll give you specifics. Because we want to make sure everybody knows so that we know how to properly adjudicate the ruling, depending on what level we're working at.
Notice what Connor said there, making sure that, when we're talking about echoing a balk, that we're still making the coach go and talk to the calling umpire. Any time a coach comes out with a question, they should be talking to the calling umpire. If you're not the calling umpire, sometimes when I'm working as a plate umpire, especially if I'm working with a coach that, I've known for a while, or my partner may not be known to this coach, they'll try to, come and get an answer out of me. Always direct them to the calling umpire. That's really important.
All right. So balk concentrations. Some balks are more obvious from some positions, and these are the ones we're going to cover real quick. So in a two-person system, the plate umpire should concentrate on left-handed pitchers stepping to the plate, left-handed pitchers coming to a complete stop, right-handed pitchers coming to a complete stop, right-handed pitchers stepping to the plate on the third to first move, which is illegal now, and I don't know why this is still in the 2021 CCA manual. That is illegal at the NCAA level, illegal at the OBR or Pro Rules level, but legal in high school. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me retract that. So this means stepping to the plate on third to first move, and I think it should say on third or first. So if you make a move to third or to first, the plate umpire has responsibility on whether or not that pitcher stepped towards the plate instead of stepping towards the base he's throwing to.
Connor, distance and direction, I think, is what that is working towards.
Right-handed pitchers gaining ground on a jump turn, and right-handed pitchers closing their front shoulder before the jump turn. So closing it means they come set, they turn inwards. The base umpire, U1, should concentrate on left-handed pitchers coming to a complete stop, right-handed pitchers breaking their front knee before the jump turn, right-handed pitchers gaining ground on the jump turn. So a little bit of dual coverage. It goes back to see a balk, call a balk. So how do we call a balk once we recognize it? This is really important to know what level we're working. I think the next slide is going to cover NFHS, but NCAA and OBR, the calling umpire is going to say, that's a balk and point. Okay? And then we're going to wait until the play ends. The play ending can be the pitcher stopping his delivery motion and not throwing the ball to the plate, the catcher catching the ball, a fielder catching the ball at a base, or it could be a batted ball that goes through the infield, or a batted ball that's caught by a fielder, or a batted ball that's fielded in any manner. So that's a balk, point to the infraction. Once the play ends, time, that's a balk, no stop, didn't step towards the base. Try to give some information as to why. I feel it's really important to give information when announcing the balk, because that helps the coach understand and may prevent that coach from coming out to get a detailed explanation. If it's, that's a balk, no stop, you've already told them what happened. If they come out to argue that balk, they get dismissed. But if they come out to ask a question to clarify and ask for an explanation, we can give them an explanation. Once it goes from an explanation to an argument, coach, you cannot argue balk. By rule, you cannot argue balk calls. This conversation is over, and walk to your position. That should give them the clue.
To add on to, kind of signaling, there are certain balks that actually do have, at least in OBR, a defined signal. So if we have a balk where I believe the CCA manual, which I have it right here, calls it the breaking the front knee on a jump turn. You're going to signal that by slapping your right knee, left knee, and that would be the signal for that specific balk.
So that's a balk. Time, that's a balk, no stop. Point to the runner and advance them. You, second base, you, third base, you, home, whatever the case may be. What if when working these levels, all runners and the batter runner advance at least one base? So think of this as a wild pitch or a batted ball where everybody advances. If the ball is not put in play, i.e. a wild pitch, a pickoff throw that goes awry, right? Throws it into right, pulls a John Lester and throws it into right field. If all runners advance at least one base, the balk is acknowledged but ignored. So if we have a runner on first and he breaks on a steal, the pitcher balks and then throws it into right field, batter or R1 goes to second safely, we're good. We don't have to award any bases for that because the penalty has already been achieved. If he goes if he tries to go to third and gets thrown out at third, he's out. The runner's out because they advanced one base, which is required by the penalty, but the ball is still alive.
Connor, to add to your point, everybody just think to yourself, how many times have you called a balk and had a situation where after you call the balk, all your runners advance except, R1 was thrown out going from first to third. And the offensive coach comes out, or in most cases comes down from third base and says, we want to take the play. We want to take the play. Referring to, that we'll take the out, put the guy on,
Straight the out and take the run.
Yeah, they want the run, essentially. No, there is no opportunity to take the result of a play on a balk. It's very simple. Did all runners, including the batter runner, advance one base? If the answer to that question is yes, you acknowledge the balk, and that's it. You don't enforce any additional penalties. If the answer is no, return the batter to the batter's box. You do not add a ball or strike to the count, and you advance your runners one base from the base they occupied at the time of the pitch.
Larry?
Can I step in on this?
Go for it.
When you make these awards, if you've got multiple runners, except in obstruction awards, all awards, you should award the lead runner first.
Yep. Because
if you award the trail runner, then it kind of compounds itself where you're in box, everybody's getting an award if you're get awards. So do that lead runner. So it's first and third. You're going to score the runner from third, advance R1 to R2 to second base. So do it in that order. The only time you don't is in obstruction. You always award the obstructed runner first and you might end up moving somebody else forward because he gets forced to go forward.
Perfect. Awesome. Any questions on NCAA or OBR so far? Great. So, NFHS, and I forgot to correct this slide, so I'm going to read this. So NFHS is dead automatically. That's a balk time right away. If you call time, that's a balk. I'm okay with that. I'm sure there is a proper way NFHS wants you to handle that. The point is, recognize the balk, call the balk, call time. I'm probably going to, that's a balk time, because I have to go through the process of, that's a balk. This is high school, it's dead, right? So point, time, award your runners.
I advise you to do it exactly that way, no matter what level of play you're at. Why? Because you're going to screw it up from one to the other if you try to do them different. So
Yes, you will.
do the pro mechanic and then kill the ball after you've said that's a buck. Because anyway,
Transferring levels, you will mess it up. I'm guilty of that.
Yep. Connor, one thing to add with this, just from a plate mechanic standpoint of this, if you're in a high school situation and you kill the ball, so we're going, that's balk time, and you pop up, get out of the way, or get back down behind the catcher. My general mechanic, and kind of to bounce off of Larry, do the pro mechanic. So my balk mechanic is I will go left hand, I will go, that's a balk, and then but I'm not going to pop up. So I'll just point out over the catcher, that's a balk, and then just stay in my crouch, stay protected behind the catcher. Because what we don't want to have is a situation where we run into a situation where now the pitcher's upset at you for throwing a balk, and now he's going to, rather than throwing it at the catcher's glove, he's going to try to throw it at you. So
personally, when I'm working the dish, I stay down, I yell, that's a balk. Catcher catches it, then I come up with time, because I'm protecting myself, number one. Because if I don't protect myself, I can't award anything. If my hand's out and I get a foul tip to the hand, break a finger, I stay down in my stance. That's a balk. Hopefully my partner echoes and points. Catcher catches it, batter hits it, whatever the case may be. Come in at the appropriate time with stand-up time, then award your bases.
The ball is dead at the infraction, essentially, in high school. So
it doesn't matter what
as soon as you verbalize that's a balk, the balk infraction has been called. So it's not, you don't have to worry about trying to go, that's a balk time, all before the pitch gets delivered, because the pitch is already dead. And if they put the ball in play, it's simple. Just come up time.
Michael, did you have a question?
If they hit a home run, you just, hey, great hit, but guys, hey, it's dead. Come back, and we're replaying it.
At the high school level, yes.
Yep. Or award bases, whatever, and then and then the batter gets back in the box, pissed off, and then you
That's the reason why they should change that rule.
Yeah,
Agreed.
exactly. So, hey guys, at the Legion level, and when we're working in the OBR book, because we do high school and Legion, of course, out here, and same with across the state, I suppose. But it's really hard. That's why, and I really love that comment about pre-gaming, because we got to remind ourselves, because sometimes we'll do Legion and high school in the same time, on the same weekend, maybe, depending on their schedules. So guys could get confused. But at the Legion level, if we come up, balk, and kill it, I mean, we're screwed, aren't we? We got to live with that, don't we?
You just award bases.
I mean, do we ignore as an umpiring crew that, hey,
once you call time, you're done.
You're done.
And, the coach can say, well, what happens if my kid hits a home run? And you can say, well, you're right.
Yep. I
messed
screwed up,
but I'm still enforcing the penalty.
Yeah. Okay.
So That's why, like to Larry's point,
Yeah.
I do it in that order, so I have time to catch myself.
Yep.
And you can always, that's a balk, let it play out. Go, oh crap, this is high school. Time.
Yeah.
Balks are dead. You go back and
Yeah.
award it that way.
Just like fair foul. It's easier to bring that foul or that fair ball back to foul rather than because you can't award a fair ball after you call foul.
Correct. Correct. So if you screw up, just own it. Hey, coach, I should have kept that live. That's my fault. Good news is we're still advancing the runners.
Yeah.
Timing. That is a huge, that is the emphasis here. Timing. Okay.
All right. Now the fun part, some videos.
4 days. He's had really good swings.
Swing and a miss. Took something off.
So this is a no-stop balk. Pretty easy. We'll play it again. So watch the feet and the hands. This is something where, as umpires, we have to have a wide vision but narrow focus. And I talk about that a lot in officiating, having a wide vision and narrow focus so we can pick this one up. Because it's a tandem thing, right? Both hands and feet have to come to a stop. If you notice, his hands stop, but his legs never do. His front knee's buckling the entire time. Any questions on that one?
Should also note on that situation there, if you were to turn and spin to first, his front knee's moving, so I'm gonna go grab that balk.
Yep.
So I get, whether he picks to first or whether he goes home, I have a balk here.
And if you notice in this play, watch the plate umpire. This is what I'm talking about. Pretty sure this is what I do. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought he came out with the call on this one. There's one here in a couple plays where you'll see the plate umpire point after the play's over.
You two grabbed this balk, I think, on this play, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Which is going to be very difficult to see from position B. From position C, it would have been okay.
Here's another no-stop balk, because these are the ones that happen most often in our games. So this one, we'll watch it one more time. So it clearly does not attempt to come to a complete stop. And it looks like the plate umpire's pointing through the play. Not a great camera angle. But we call time, we award bases. Pretty easy, nobody complains because everybody knows on that one. Here's another one, the start-stop.
You get this one frequently at lower levels when you have new pitchers, who, as they're beginning their delivery, something doesn't feel right, and they stop.
I'm a kind of a stickler on how you point that. I just hate the way he pointed this one home.
Just getting ready to talk about that, Larry.
I'll let you finish.
So we recognize the balk. We point it. We do a great job of clearing the plate, right? Getting out in front of everybody, pointing to a runner, but then we just lazily kind of point to the side. Be a little bit more. I think your signal should mirror the intensity of the call, right? Or the intensity of the play. So I would be a little bit more, you point, and be a little bit more demonstrative about it. You don't always have to yell, you home, like they teach at pro school, but you score. And be a little bit more direct, more authoritative, because then, like we talked about officiating at all levels, in all sports, the more authoritative we sound or come across, the less likely we are to get questioned.
I would on that play, turn my back on the runner at third base and step and point at the plate. Step with my left foot, point with my right hand, and really enthusiastically score that run.
It's a run scoring situation, and it's a, you know, we talk about, you know, not picking hair or not cutting hairs and you know, making balks big. I mean, this is a big balk. You know, not only is it, you know, moving R1 to second, but you're now scoring a run in a 3-0 game. I mean, now get big with that, and you can really sell that, especially, you know, when you're scoring a run.
All right. Here's what we talk about plays or pickups to third and first. Remember, fainting the third in high school is legal. It is not in NCAA and OBR. This catches us off guard a lot because we're not
Pull it here. So you got a right-handed pitcher here, and we'll restart this again. Who here has a balk on this play? Play it one more time. All right. If you said that, yes, this is a balk, you'd be correct. What would the pitcher need to do to make this legal?
Have his foot behind the rubber.
Throw the ball.
Throw it or step off the back.
There we go. Yep. That's exactly, yep. Get his step, legally disengage the rubber, or in this situation, throw the ball. I mean, at this level, I think if you're going to go and grab a front knee block in this situation, I think we're splitting hairs a little bit on this. But just something to consider on that. We'll go to the next slide.
When it comes to front knee balks, get the obvious ones.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Got another one here. So the pitcher stepping off, he legally disengages here. We have a left-handed pitcher. So notice that we're going to have a little bit of different responsibilities here on the block. And from the rubber, fakes the throw to first. Back it up here quick.
This is another one that's really easy to get us because we're like, oh, it's a left-handed pitcher. And we often will transition from the pitcher to the base before the throw is released. And we don't notice the throw is not made. Or we just don't see it because you don't see it very often. And when you do, you miss it because it catches you off guard. Or in high school, what often happens is they try to do a first to third move as a lefty, and we get caught up in following the play to third and don't realize that he didn't throw it to first.
The way that I always, when I'm going pre-pitch in on a play like this, I'll just say, you know, the only base he can fake it to legally is second base in this situation, and that's generally the rule of thumb with a play like that. If we move, and here we go, stepping directly to a base.
Michael, this is the one you had the question on.
Yep. So a couple things with this. Obviously, it's a 4 umpire crew, not a 2 umpire crew like most of us are used to working on. In this situation, I believe U1 has the responsibility in a 4-man for this balk. But we'll break it down just through the principles of what we're looking at. And remember, there's no 45-degree, 45-foot rule. Here we go. So we see right away, as soon as his foot hits the ground and he throws the ball, we have U1 coming out on a balk call. Ball's thrown right away. There's not much as far as seeing what the other crew's doing. My guess is that probably about a half second after U1 makes his call, U3 would be mirroring that balk. Obviously, U2 in this situation is more focused on the potential play at second, as opposed to mirroring this balk. If we go back and we'll kind of break this play down a little bit more frame by frame. So Chapman starts normal, picks up, and look at where his foot comes down. He gains distance towards first base. But it's not, or he gains distance, but it's not toward first base. It's home. More of his body goes to home than to first base. We talk about distance and direction. If you're going to make a pickoff attempt like this, the attempt must be, you must step in a direction to and gain distance to the base you're throwing to. Any other thoughts on this specific play, Connor or Larry?
Yeah. I think there's another one coming up here in a second. That's the same type of play. But going back to your question, Michael, watch their body, and more importantly, their upper body. Like his body on this play goes home. His step appears to be at first base, right? But the step has to do with the entire body. Where does his entire body go when he steps? And I think the next play is going to emphasize it a little bit better. But the plate umpire is going to have a great look at this. And as a plate umpire, I want to own this with lefties. Because my base umpire in position B, go back to that play, Jake. Apparently I have one step to first.
That's fine.
In position B is going to be a lot tighter to that pitcher. And a little bit more towards first base. In a two-person system, they should be right off a line between the plate and the grass cut of the mound. But watch their body. Their body comes to you as the plate umpire. It's a really good indication that he's stepping towards you. Because what is the batter seeing? What is the runner seeing? All his momentum is going towards the plate. He's pitching.
I think his right knee is the one that tells you that he's coming home first.
Did that answer your question, Michael?
Yeah. Well, and I was just going to even add that, the plate umpire didn't even move on that, and so maybe he's focused on something else, but I agree.
Yes.
And it's okay to have a late call, a delayed balk call on that,
And remember, in the 4-man system, they have different responsibilities.
Yep.
Oh, then, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
this
sorry.
is in 4-man, this is U1 all day.
Okay. Okay.
In the 2-umpire system, this is the plate umpire all day, every day. Your base umpire is, if your base umpire is in a position to really help the plate umpire out, I might ask if the base umpire is in proper position.
Right.
Because that's could be hard to see.
And
so,
in person, this is U1 as well, Michael. U1 or U3, depending on, well, there's a runner at first, you're going to be at first, so it's going to be U1 all the time.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. The next couple plays are fun ones. These are the ones that everyone yells about, and we never call in 2-person. So it takes a lot of focus. And these look really easy from this view. From center field, you can call everything.
Mm-hmm.
You see him pointing to his front knee, and the pitcher's like, yep, you got me. Because pitchers that do this know they do it. They are taught to do it. And in the 2-umpire system, the coach is going to come out and want an explanation. And how can you see that from where you're at? And the plate umpire can get this, the base umpire can get this. But this is one that creates a huge advantage because this is the whole making a motion naturally associated with starting the pitch. In order to deliver home, your front leg has to come up, right? So your knee has to buckle.
So if he's moving that front knee, he better be coming home. Otherwise, we should be calling it.
Yeah, once he comes set, yes.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Next one, Jake.
Okay. We were talking about this one earlier. Throw into a fielder to make a play, or I should say, we'll use rulebook terminology for the purposes of retiring a runner. I got a left-handed hitter or pitcher.
And this is one.
I think Connor might have gotten. Hang on here, let me see here. I think Connor might have had technical difficulties, but so this is one of those balks that, and I actually had a situation last year. I was working with an umpire in Iowa. It was a high school game, and I had this exact play, and I will be the first person to admit that I completely missed this balk. Not because, it was a rule knowledge, but it's very rare to get called. And remember, the only criteria that needs to be met is this field. It has to be for the purposes of retiring a runner. And so in this situation, we have F3 going back to the base, and makes an attempt at a tag. In the situation that I had, it was the first baseman was playing up the line, and rather than making any remote movement back to the base, the fielder ran towards home. So in this in that specific situation there, we had a pitcher make a pickoff attempt, but it was not for the purposes of retiring a runner. And so just a couple small comments there. Larry, do you have anything to add on that?
Oh, he left it in there. Okay.
On this play, I'd say there is an attempt to get the runner, but your play where the guy throws to the first baseman at charging forward in front of the runner, no, that would be a balk because he doesn't get a runner.
Yep.
Or if the first baseman is standing still right now and the throw comes right to him there,
And
you actually have to throw to the base, not to the fielder.
And like I said earlier, before my internet decided to kick me out, common sense and fair play on this play. What's the attempt here? There might be one more, Jake.
Okay.
No, I guess that's it. Cool. For those of you that are here today joining us, do you have any questions on balks? Or how to call them, or how to adjudicate the ruling, how to enforce it?
Big thing, big points with balks. Do not split hairs.
Make them matter.
Yep. Common sense and fair play. I mean, I'm not a nitpicky balk in a 10-run game versus a 2-1 game. That matters. And also the age level matters. One of the things that, and I realize we're 10 minutes over time here, but the the whole idea of preventative officiating. If I notice that I have a pitcher that is getting close to balking, where are they coming to a complete stop, and it's iffy, and it's a lower level game. Between innings, I have the perfect opportunity to try to preventative officiate this. You're either going to have a first base coach or third base coach come by you and just say, hey, remind your pitcher to come to a complete stop. I do that frequently. We don't want to insert ourselves into a baseball game if we don't have to. And if the coach goes back and tells the kid, hey, make sure you're coming to a stop, and then he blows through on a pitch and I balk it, well, I did what I could to preventative officiate this situation. But at the end of the day, see a balk, call a balk, make it big, but slow down as well. Don't call time too early.
Larry, did you have something?
Well, again, preventative officiating here, sometimes a guy is from the stretch all the time and he warms up that way. You see it during the warm-ups, you get your catcher out there and say, hey, we need to get you stopped. Or if it's really low level, you can go out there yourself. I'm talking really low level.
Yeah.
They come out of Little League where it doesn't make any difference really if they stop, because the runner can't leave, can't go till the ball is at the plate. So, that 13-year-old is where you're going to get a lot of no stop box.
Yeah. Jake, you want to cover what's coming up next week real quick before we go?
Sure. By far, probably the most requested topic that we've received is the 2 umpire system. Connor and I were discussing before the meeting today how, he and I could put on a 3-hour clinic on balks and really dive into the philosophy of the balk and really, drill down on it. There are a lot more things with balks than what we covered today. It's really important to make sure we're staying in the book, and knowing what is and what isn't a balk. When do we call time? What enforcements do we have? So next week will be the first of a I don't want to say undetermined number of series of clinics, but we're going to go with it anyway. It will be the first of an undetermined number of clinics on the finer points of the 2 umpire system. Next week we'll probably give kind of a general overview as to what we're discussing in the 2 umpire system. And then in subsequent weeks, we're going to really work on drilling down on a lot of the positioning, the pre-pitch stuff, but everything that has to do with the base umpire and the 2 umpire system is what's going to be coming up for at least the next couple weeks.
Yeah. As always, if you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to answer it. And baseball season's coming soon.
Stay in the rule book. You can only control a specific number of things on a baseball field. You can control your appearance, your mechanics, your timing, and your rule knowledge. Can't control the players, can't control the coaches, can't control what happens to the 8-ounce projectile, but you certainly can control your rule knowledge. And I see Peter smiling because he hears me say that in hockey all the time. So really drill down on the rule knowledge. It will help a lot. And we do have, after 2 umpire mechanics, I think we're going to really work through the Rule 2 definitions, which would be the definition of all terms. So thanks, guys. Apologize for running 15 minutes over, but really dense material that we covered today. Looking forward to a great presentation next week on the finer points of the 2 umpire system. Let us know if you guys have any questions, anything baseball related. That's what we're here for. Have a great rest of your week, guys. We'll see you next week.
Hey, healthy.
Thanks, Jake.